Hi, this is Renee and Kent Miller and the Augmentation of Man, where we are giving the future
the light against the dark.
This episode is going to be the light versus the dark, and we're going to define both of those for you and explain it in the bigger picture.
As we see it, yes.
Yes, as we have been taught by our mentors. Our spiritual guides are called the ancients, and we also have some professors that we work with in the spiritual realm who teach.
Well, first of all, you have to define the light and the dark.
Yes.
Yes. And you define all that is, because that kind of comprises both.
Yes, so all that is everything that exists. And the light is relative to the purpose of creation. This is all relative to why creation exists in the first place, which is the expansion of consciousness. That includes intellectual understanding.
Yeah, well, you look at if you use reference, many people use Bible as a reference, and you look at the light and the dark. The dark is the unknown side, the unwisdom side of all that is. And the light is the understanding and the wisdom side of all that is. Now,
so I have just picked up a few phrases out of the Bible just to give an example of the light and the way that we would interpret it, not necessarily the way that it is interpreted in our modern times. So in Genesis 1:3, and God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness.
Yeah.
So that gives contrast.
And the light is knowledge. The light is opening knowledge.
Right, and understanding. So God wants to share that level of intellectual and understanding and the wisdom with us. And so everything in creation was created as a support system for our experience so that we can learn from those experiences.
According to the Bible, remember the word God is used. We call it the creator. And God is used, the word God is used, so you understand when we use the word God, we're talking about the creator of all that is.
And universally, other entities use the word creator. They don't use the word God, because God has been used in different references other than the main creator of all that is. So in 2 Samuel 22:29, "You are my lamp, O Lord. The Lord turns my darkness into light."
Because it's talking about the consciousness, the understanding, the knowledge.
So not understanding and have that frustration and that sense of doom when you don't understand and you're being subjected to conditions that are unpleasant because you don't understand.
So by looking at this, which you've already read, you're defining all the difference between all that is and all that is not.
Yes, or all that are versus all that are not. And these are very foreign terms to us because they're not used very regularly among our society today. Another example is, and to shun evil is understanding. So the way that we've been taught is that the lack of understanding and the control of consciousness is the evil. So to rise up against the evil is really to educate yourself.
Right, to understand what.
To bring understanding.
That's right.
And we've been taught also that if we want to thwart off the negative entities, we do that through our conscious evolvement and our growth and understanding.
So with that,
that's
I like
enough
to say,
for now.
define the purpose of creation, the expansion of universal consciousness.
Now, the dark, in some instances, was created as a balance for the light. So if you have the contrast, one is going to push you in another direction. So
Yeah.
the purpose of the dark, or the control of consciousness, is to create that will within us that rises and causes us to seek out the truth. So when we know we have been under the thumb of other people who have been controlling the consciousness, it's supposed to instill within us this drive to find the truth that has been hidden.
Right. And so with that, we have to also define dark. We just got defining what light is, understanding, wisdom,
The expanding consciousness,
that's light.
intellectual understanding,
Right. So,
wisdom. So the dark would be the opposite of that.
So the dark we call Satan. And according to my mentors, it's called Centauri.
Yeah, so Satan is a human term, and what we were told is that universally Satan is called Centauri. So there's other evil, what we would describe as evil beings,
Yeah.
and they're the ones that hold the darkness, or they have migrated themselves to the darkness, which is the control.
Deceptors.
They're deceptors, but their aim is to control the consciousness, to keep us in the dark, to manipulate us, to control us, and to maintain reign over the earth.
If you don't do your research, you remain in the dark. You don't do your research to truth. You remain ununderstanding, not understanding of what is going on around you.
And there's a lot going on in our world today that is the result of those of the darkness trying to manipulate information or control information to be deceptive in order to create the chaos that keeps us divided. And when they do that, they create that division or keep us divided and keep us at war with each other, then they control the rule over the earth. So
you've got those that are not truthful, not teaching truth.
So there are certain entities that are influencing things that are happening on the earth today. For example, there's a huge following Satan or Centauri. There's also a following of people who have existed for a long, long time, eons, multiple lifetimes, that follow an entity called Aquarius. Now, Aquarius is known as a deceptor, and these followers of Aquarius, they create a lot of the chaos that we see today.
They want to keep you in the past perceptions where you won't learn anything.
And what they do is they try to enlist others to their cause. So we don't know exactly which groups that exist today, but you can try and figure that one out for yourself. There's also another group called the Longarians. Now, this was
Archons.
Right. The human term is archons. These are beings that were created to influence people's thoughts, to control their thoughts, and
control their actions.
And then through that,
control their
actions. Now, it is our job to notice when our thoughts are being controlled. And it is our job to rise above that and to look for the truth.
And to point out the disruptors, the deceptors. And
Mhm.
so you can at least see what we're trying to point out and possibly do your own research.
So there's another group of beings called the polygrists. So they cause polarity and they cause disruption. And they're known as the disruptors. And they work in collaboration with others. So you have all these groups that they have kind of their own agendas, but they also work in a unified manner to control information, to deceive us, to keep us divided.
They use media outlets.
Right. And so media outlets is a platform for them to use that keep the information controlled. So that could be even that the information that they put out there is not necessarily incorrect, but it's not the entire picture. So it leads people to believe one thing when in reality it's another thing altogether. So we have to be aware of these things. That's our job.
Yeah, and then there's things called demons.
Yes.
And they came out, they're basically an energy, an unbalanced energy, which causes disruption, very severe disruption.
The way it was explained to us is that demons were the result of an experiment that was done on unbalanced energy. So supposedly there were some beings that were experimenting with energy, trying to create an imbalance, a severe imbalance. Mm-hmm. And that resulted in this energy taking its own form in the form of these demonic entities,
which is a unbalanced energy.
Very unbalanced.
Demonic energy is. And you've heard us talk about cycles of perception and truth and how we're supposed to move forward. But there are those that are in control for a long, long time and deceiving and hiding truth and many agendas that you really don't understand. The governments around the world and somewhat religion and science and economics, that's all thrown in a big bag and mixed up. So truth is very difficult to come by.
That's right. And what you have today is the culmination of all those energy pathways that have been brought forth to this period of time. And they have started a long time ago, but they're all coming to a culmination at this point in time, which happens to be the end of a cycle of perceptual learning. Now, perception is based on what we have an understanding of based on what we've been taught and our experiences, but may not necessarily have to do with the truth. And so perception, we're moving out of perception. We need to know what the truth is, and we need to step into the next cycle of conceptual learning, which is a higher cycle.
Yeah, and we are at war with each other. And say, well, how can that be? World War I, Civil War, World War II. We are at war with each other. And this is an information war because information controls the way you act.
And it controls our conscious thoughts. And so we need to rise above the misperception. We need to do our own research. We need to collect our own data and then connect the dots to see the bigger picture of what is going on here.
I'm telling people, stand up, join together, black, white, brown, red, all entities join together to defeat those that are trying to manipulate our thoughts.
So part of this is that free speech is under attack now. And the truth is being manipulated. That is happening largely on all these media platforms. And so,
such as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Reddit,
and our news media outlets. So we have to have a reasonable amount of suspicion that we're not being given the entire picture here, and take that and let it be the driving force for us to go searching deeper. Do our research. The Google, the internet exists as a tool for us to find information, and there's a wealth of information on the internet. So we need to do that homework and get online and start looking for the information, instead of putting all our eggs into one basket when we're reading and listening to these media outlets and believing everything they tell us, because we're being deceived.
Yeah, you have to do your research. You have to get off the, well, I don't have time. If you want your freedom, if you want the truth, and you want to know what is really going on, you have to take time and put it aside and do your research. Ask, who is behind this organization that you read about? What is the agenda? Why are they doing this?
And who do they have connections with?
Yeah,
so you have networks of people that have common cause.
Right, in order to come together and defeat the dark side, you have to take your information that you've gotten from your research and tell those others, this is what I got from my research, and tell the research, put it out there so others can read it. There is nothing right and nothing wrong with a lot of this research, but you have to get to, and you can feel whether it's truthful or whether it's a deception.
And as we move into this next cycle of conceptual learning, this is what is preparing us for that next cycle. So the conceptual learning means to be able to take, do your research, take the data you have gathered and connect the dots and see how it all relates. If we can't do that now, we are not going to qualify for this next cycle of conceptual learning. So this is preparing us. This is necessary for us to move into this next higher cycle.
And this is evolving ourselves into the next cycle. We have to evolve ourselves in order for this race, the human race, to survive. They're watching us from outside of this planet. And they're going to see if we have the gumption to survive as a race, or we're going to let the whole world fall under the darkness. Now, this is up to you. We're only 1-2 people that are trying to get the information out there to bring people together. If you don't want to come together and you want to stay on your own, then so be it. But the survival of this human race depends on you doing your research and putting it out there for others to read and coming together.
Now, within creation, there's universal laws, and we're going to be learning more about those universal laws in this next cycle of conceptual learning. One of those universal laws mandates that all of creation has to evolve to higher and higher states of expression in order to continue to live and survive. So that's why it's so important at this time that we rise to the occasion and we do our research and we start making those connections, because this is what is going to guarantee the survival of the human race. If we don't do that, the human race is doomed to go into extinction, and we will basically, you know, just do ourselves in through all of our infighting and warring. And that is going to be because we each have a different truth and we're warring against each other in our information wars.
We have our own agenda.
Yes.
And which does not include truth. So we have to move away from organizations that create a lot of this issue that we're talking about, that does not have truth, that distorts the truth, does not seek control of our own minds, our thoughts. And we got to support businesses that allows the truth and free speech.
So we can change the paradigm through where we put our energy and where we spend our money. For example, several years back, organic foods were very hard to find. And it was only through people putting money into that search and purchase
And
of
wanting to buy it,
organic
right.
foods that we have seen that there's a flood of organic foods that are on the market today because they will follow the money. Now, we can take that principle and apply it to where we're getting our news from. And so if we put our attention into those outlets, say we're talking about social media, that honor free speech and that do not censor, then we can shift the paradigm and actually shift the money and income to companies that are endorsing the non-censorship and the freedom of speech.
When you get free speech, you get both sides of a conversation.
It's healthy debate.
Right, and it's healthy debate, and you can weigh what you feel is the truth and the non-truth. You don't come down on those that you figure saying the non-truth because they feel that they're telling truth. So you have to give free speech in order to get both sides of a conversation.
And it's a part of our conscious evolution because each person can introduce a different angle to view a particular topic.
One you never thought of.
Yeah.
May be correct.
And so it expands our understanding and our viewpoint when we can openly listen to another person's view on a particular subject.
Yeah, some of the platforms that we're looking into is BitChute.
We actually have started our own channel on BitChute in addition to YouTube, but we will probably be moving more toward BitChute in order to support that company that ensures our free speech and lack of censorship.
You got Parler, which we just signed up.
That's an equivalent of Twitter. There's several platforms. And what you need to do is just look into their policy on censorship and see where they stand with that and what they're doing with your information.
Just a few of them to look up on, look up Emanator.
Emanator is one, MeWe, and
Vero.
There's
many
WhatsApp.
more.
There's lots of them out there. We encourage you to do your own homework.
But look at them and see who is behind that particular platform and what they offer. Is it open conversation? So again, this whole thing is a war with ourselves between knowledge, wisdom, understanding, which is the light, and the dark, keeping us out of wisdom, out of knowledge, and out of understanding.
We're fighting for our own survival, and that is going to be rising to the light, which is the information knowledge. And when you get into, and we're not going to go into it with this video, but you can see it on our other past videos on, particularly on YouTube, because we started with them some years back. And that is, the light is the energy that carries the informational knowledge, that when you get into meditation and you start hearing words or phrases in your head, that's the intellectual information that you were accessing. And that is out there to be accessed for our further growth.
And so with that, we thank you for being with us. I hope we explain some of the things that are going on, and you can look at it and break it down for yourself and see if this feels the truth with you, or we're opening conversation, at least opening conversation between truth and non-truth, so we can see all sides. So thank you for being with us.
Peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. And don't forget to check out our website, LIGHTvs.THEDARK, and our books that we've published under the Augmentation of Man series. That is a study in Renaissance, which has to do with our spiritual path and correcting misperceptions regarding our spirituality, and the Acquiescence of Humanity, which is bringing humanity, preparing us to move into the universal connection, which we will be able to form new unions with people outside the earth who will be teaching us and expanding that conscious understanding amongst humanity.
You have a great week.
Thank you. Take care now.